Well, slap my face and call me someone whose face you just slapped. It's Monday. Welcome. I believe I'm on week 11-ish of doing the workouts of, we could call it strength training or resistance training. I don't know what you'd call it. Just actively working out for the first time in my life to build muscle. And I am certainly noticing differences, mostly in my arms. I still got some belly. I'm sure that's going to be there for a little while. And in my energy, maybe differences. It's not that big. It's not as big as it was when I first started. I noticed a bigger change when I first started. Because some days after like big workouts, I will be kind of sore, and like the next day too, and I feel lower on energy. Maybe when I get to a point where I'm just maintaining and not building anymore, that'll change. But my sleep is definitely better, especially on days when I'm working out. It's better. Days when I'm not working out, it's not so great. Not still, but yeah. Woohoo! Maybe next week. I think next week will be 3 months. Whenever the 3 month point is, maybe I'll do a little picture comparison of when I started to now. I don't expect it to be that big of a difference. I think there will be some things that are pretty noticeable, especially again in the arms, shoulders. I don't know about legs. I'm not going to do a full body picture, but my legs were already doing pretty good. I'm a runner, so I don't know how huge the difference would be. I mean, look pretty muscly, but I'll just keep that to myself. I think it looks like my belly's getting smaller in the mirror, but I'm not like measuring it that closely. Maybe I should, but we'll look at the picture. We'll see. So that's my strength training. I'm currently finishing up for the main channel video. Also, I hit 1 million subscribers. Did that happen before last week? I don't remember. I put up so many things, I don't remember where I say things. No, I think that didn't happen yet last week. Well, I hit 1 million subscribers on the main channel. Woo-wee, woo-woo. In fact, where's my... a plaque right there. Yeah. If you're listening to this on the podcast, isn't this plaque beautiful? Doesn't it sound beautiful? Here's what it sounds like. Yeah, I don't know what that sounded like. I just rubbed it against the microphone. I couldn't really hear anything. But there it is. 1 million subscribers. Feels good. Honestly, it doesn't feel that much different because it's only a little bit more subscribers than before 1 million. And really, like, it doesn't really mean a whole lot other than I got a plaque and the number looks bigger and that looks cool. Feels good. It certainly feels good. It feels good to have hit it. And I don't have to worry about when am I going to hit it and keep looking at the subscriber count going up. But it is a moment for celebration and reflection, and I like it. But I'm working on several videos coming up. I'm working on the next one is China and we did several personality tests. We did the Myers-Briggs, we did the Enneagram, we did a love language test, and then we did which Golden Girls are you? Several tests. BuzzFeed tests for that. And we talked about it, and I have to edit that very soon, and I'm worried and a little behind on that, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. There's several videos this month. There's 4 videos this month. That's the first one. After this month, I'm going to scale back the amount of videos I'm putting up. I always feel behind. I always feel like I'm rushed and doing... Maybe I will. Maybe that's just inevitable no matter what I'm doing. I'm always going to try to get the most done. I'm going to use up the time I have, regardless of how much time it is. But after this month, I'm going to go down to maximum 2 Wheezy Waiter main channel videos a month. Still going to do these, but main channel 2 a month as opposed to at least 4 a month, which is what it's been for the past several months, and it's becoming too much. My assistant Meg just messaged me about doing a video today. I'm doing it right now. I usually do it, and then she deals with the upload and the description and stuff, because I gotta go do this other stuff. Anyway, that video should come out in the next couple days. Then I'm gonna do a video about the Rubik's Cube, because I just learned how to do a Rubik's Cube. Oh man, I thought about doing that for this video. And maybe I will. It's not really great for the podcast, but hey, it's how you live, you learn, as Alanis Morissette says. It doesn't really apply here, but that is a saying. I'm gonna go get that Rubik's Cube. Any hoozles. I am now holding a Rubik's Cube and turning it, podcast listeners. And I learned how to do it because I had never learned it, but it seemed like something I would enjoy learning, because I like puzzles and such, and it's always been a mystery to me, and I wanted to know it. So I did. I found a video, a Wired video, where the guy, it's like 25 minutes, and the guy just breaks down exactly how to do it, at least one way to do it. I'm not going to break any records. I'm not going to go, I think the fastest I've done it is like 2.5 minutes. I'm not going to really try for more. Like, I'll just keep doing it occasionally and practicing, and maybe I'll get faster at it, but this isn't a competitive thing. But I'm going to make a video about it, because I want to talk about practice and I want to talk about in general about Rubik's Cubes, because they're interesting, but then also like why it's healthy to try to learn to do it, and how, like, doing this, it took me about a few days, maybe 3 days, of like just a short, like not that long per day, to just like go through it until eventually I like was able to do it without looking at the instructions. And it just got me thinking about the value of practice, and how when you practice, when you're doing a thing, you're making progress even when it seems like you aren't. It just sort of snuck up on me all of a sudden, like, whoa, I'm doing a Rubik's Cube. And then like the value of learning things that seem kind of pointless. I'm not actually doing it right now. I'm just mixing it up. Like things that aren't going to be really useful other than for themselves. But to me that is useful. It, like, to be able to occupy your mind with something that to some might seem like work, to me is valuable. It helps my creativity to take my mind off of the things that I'm mulling over in my head, the creative projects I'm working on, and yet still feel a sense of progress. It's nice. I like it. I think that's what that video is going to be. Well, as I write it, I'll figure out more. And then, okay, now I'm going to start doing the Rubik's Cube. First, sorry, podcast listeners. First, I'm going to do what they call the daisy. You find the center yellow on the Rubik's Cube, and then you put white on the edge pieces. There's corner pieces, and there's edge pieces, and there's center pieces. The corner pieces, they're the corner pieces. Edge pieces are the ones in between the corner pieces, but they're not the actual center of the square. They're the center of the corner pieces. They're the between of the corner pieces. I'm describing this for people who are listening. You start out with a yellow center and white edge pieces, so it looks like a daisy. That's how you start the setup. So there's no like real trick. I mean, the more you do it, you figure out the tricks to getting there a little quicker. But it's really just kind of playing around until you get the edge pieces. You got to find them all. There's one right there. So I'm gonna get it right up there. So I'm gonna go swoop. I'm gonna go swoop, and then swoop. Yeah, there it is. So we got a daisy. We also have another white one in there, but that's irrelevant. And then, so I'm not going to describe the entire how you do a Rubik's Cube, because there's other things to talk about. But just once I get to a point where I'm just kind of doing it, we'll move on. So then you look at the white pieces and you find the other color that shares their square. Like this one's red. So then you match that red with the center red, and then you flip it upside down. So it's whoop, whoop, like that. And you do that with all the white pieces. Green to center green, flip it upside down. Yellow to, or orange to center orange, flip it upside down. Blue to center blue, flip it upside down. Then at the bottom, you have a white cross. Call it the bottom because once you get the white cross, that is the bottom for the rest of the solving of the Rubik's Cube. That's as far as I'll go with the Cuban. I'll solve it, but by the end of this video. But the next video I'm going to work on, China and I are going to try the KonMari method of decluttering, which is what Marie Kondo talks about. It's a minimalism thing because we love getting rid of stuff, and we're not. And I did a video, why do people like minimalism? We talk about how we are minimalist in some ways, but we're not like extreme. We're not like, I don't feel like I'm like a minimalist prophet, a minimalist evangelist who's going around trying to push an agenda of any kind, or that we do it to an extreme. But we do want to get rid of things. There's a bunch of stuff that has piled up since we moved in, so we're going to gather a bunch of stuff and use this KonMari method and get rid of it and just talk about it and how it feels and why it's useful or not. I don't know. I don't think we've ever specifically tried it, like to the letter, but we're going to now. Or maybe we have, and I don't even know that we have. Maybe I'm forgetting. But this was China's idea. We're going to do it. And then the one after that is reading books. I want to read more books. I want to... I've always, in my adult life, I've struggled to read. This is kind of hard to do a Rubik's Cube while talking about this. Maybe I shouldn't. I've always struggled to read as much as I'd like to. Like I've always been kind of not that fast of a reader. When I was in like grade school, when I was in like 3rd, 4th grade, I read a ton of like younger people, not like really children's books, but like a little bit older books. What would you call that? It wasn't young adult. It was like before young adult, like Judy Blume books, or what are some other ones of that? Like I remember one. My Teacher is an Alien. I loved that book, but I read a lot of books in that vein in like 3rd, 4th grade, and then junior high I read a bunch of Star Wars books. But I didn't, the book reading kind of fell off after that. And then aside from like what I had to read for school, and then when college, like reading the books I had to. I didn't even read all the reading I was supposed to some of the time. Because I never felt like I was a fast reader. And then in my adult life, I have occasionally read books, but not as much as I would like to. And so in the next several weeks, I'm going to attempt to read a lot more. And I've been reading some articles about how to do that, because I do read a lot of articles. I read a lot of Twitter, a lot of news. And so I know I'm capable of reading, and probably a faster reader now than ever because of all the internet reading I've been doing. But I want more. And so I've put together this brief list that I'm going to go through here of ways to do it. And it's pretty interesting. Like some things it makes sense, it's common sense, but it's stuff I never really considered. Like number one, I think this is all my idea. I think the number one reason to number one way to read more is first to identify why you want to, because maybe you don't really need to. Maybe there's no real reason to do it. But if there is, see, now I got all white on the bottom of the Rubik's Cube, and same color around the bottom layer, and then the goal is to get the next layer all the same. But knowing why, you might discover you actually don't really need to, or you don't have a really good reason. But if you do, that'll keep you going. Because if you don't know why, and you just do it, and you'll be like, well, why am I reading this? And then you stop. But if you can identify specifically why you want to do it, why you think you'll get use out of it first, And I never have really sat down to think about that. I mean, there's the obvious ones that I've written down. Broaden your knowledge, deepen your knowledge. So broaden your knowledge, learn about things you didn't necessarily think about before, and deepen your knowledge, because most of the stuff we talk about these days, the information we throw around at each other, is very shallow knowledge. It's headlines often, maybe it's articles, but most people don't give a lot of thought, days of thought, to a topic. If you read a whole book on something, just one book, you're getting a lot deeper knowledge about something. And I think that's useful. I think if we all did that, the world would be better. So those are reasons I want to do it, but those are obvious, and those I've thought about a lot, and those haven't gotten me to read. But another reason is because books, when I get into a good book, like I'm thinking more like fiction books right now. When I get into a good fiction book, it's really, really good. Like, I don't think there's a better feeling than getting deep, like really getting immersed in a good story. When it's good, it's really, really good. I love movies. Movies are my first, probably, way to take in stories. My first art of choice. But when I get into a good book, it's better. It happens more rarely. For me, it's harder to get into. It takes more work to get into a good book, for me. But it's better when I do. And then another thing on the list of why, it could help relax me, could help me sleep. It does help relax me and help me sleep, much more than my reading of choice, which tends to be Twitter. Like laying in bed, reading Twitter, that's the worst. I'm pretty good at avoiding that these days. But reading can relax me a lot more, because Twitter is, I've talked about this in the No Internet video, or Twitter, or a lot of internet reading or news reading. You're passively deciding what information you're getting. You're not deciding. You're letting the internet decide. Like, they're throwing information at you. It's not intentional. And you're going to get a bit of knowledge of usually terrible things happening all over. And I think that it's not necessarily bad. I'm not saying the internet is just bad, or that Twitter is bad only. There's bad things about it, and it's stressful, and it makes you feel bad, and it can lead people to misinformation, to getting the wrong information, and not enough information, just shallow information, not thinking about things enough, kind of being reactive, overly reactive. But it's also a great way to find out what's really happening at its best. So I'm not trying to be anti-internet, anti-Twitter. I guarantee I'm taking in too much, though. And so reading books will take me away from that. Instead, like just grabbing a book instead of grabbing my phone. And then it's information that I chose. I curated this for myself. This is something I want to learn more about. And then it'll feel more like progress. The feeling of progress is the best feeling, to me. And then another reason I want to read more, creative inspiration. Again, especially fictional, but also nonfiction books. As someone who wants to create things for people, like I'd like to make movies, and taking in more fiction stories in book form, in other forms besides movies, could lead me to ideas. But in nonfiction as well, because I'm making a lot of nonfiction. And WheezyWaiter is essentially nonfiction these days. It started out kind of as fiction. But just for more ideas, basically. So those are the reasons I want to read more. I think doing so would help me. Like, so next time I think, like, well, why am I reading? I don't want to read. I can think, or like I fall out of the habit. I can think, well, here's why I want to do it. So then, okay, Craig. Yeah, do it. Okay, so that's actually the first of a list of the most important, I think, and the first of ways to read more, how to read more. First, identify why. Then, this one, so I scoured the internet, again, bringing up the internet again, about ways to read more. And this one came up and was very interesting to me because I didn't really, it's opposite of what I do. Read everywhere all the time. Just read it's simple. Just read everywhere all the time. Just, so what that requires then is to have books around all the time. Take a book with you everywhere you go. Or just have, like I have one now, on the toilet. Dr. Aaron Carroll's Bad Food Bible. I interviewed him for the vegan video. I also interviewed him for the Why Do People Like Alcohol video, which I haven't made yet. I'm going to wait until I have more time when I'm making less videos per month to make it. But I have that on the toilet instead of just pulling out my phone, which everyone does probably when they go to the bathroom. I've been pulling that out and then reading a little bit at a time. Like for some reason in my head, I'm like, well, if I'm going to read, I have to make it a special thing. Like I usually read in bed before going to bed, but often I don't because I'm too tired or I got interested in something on Twitter, so I didn't. But why does it have to be reserved for that? Why can't it just be like your phone? I mean, it is a little bigger, a little bulkier, but if you're looking at your phone anyway, have a bag, have a book with you. If you're traveling, which most of us aren't, less of us are now. But I have one on the toilet, and I have one that I've been just carrying around with me around the house everywhere I go. I have it right here. And I heard this story this is The Splendid and the Vile by Eric Larson, who wrote Devil in the White City about Chicago and H.H. Holmes, a serial killer during the World's Fair of Chicago, which was awesome. So I got this one, which is about Winston Churchill during the bombing of London in World War II. Also, pretty darn good if you're interested in World War II history. And I've been carrying it around with me everywhere and reading a little bit here and there, like during times when I would normally grab my phone. And it doesn't, in my head for some reason, it doesn't seem like it's going to be as interesting. Like I'm not ready to read. Like I'm not in reading mode right now. But so far, every time I grab it, I fall right into it. And just as I would with a phone. It's much easier than I thought. But I heard this story about, in the article I read about this idea of reading everywhere all the time. Stephen King apparently does that. And the person who wrote the article said his friend waited in line behind Stephen King to go into a movie. And Stephen King was reading a book while waiting in line to go to the movie. And then they got the tickets, they went in, movie started, he put his book away. As soon as the lights went up after the movie was over, Stephen King pulled his book out and started reading it as he left the movie theater. So literally Stephen King is reading all the time. And it seemed a little silly at first to me, but then I was thinking about how many times I've walked around looking at my phone. It's not silly at all. So I'm going to try to adopt that attitude. So far, it's working. I have made a little progress in the book, and then just think like it's a few pages here and there. The book reading doesn't have to be a marathon. It doesn't have to be a chapter, even a page, a paragraph. If you have an opportunity to read it. It's like it's when I have an opportunity to read a few tweets, I read them. Why not do that with a book? And then, my computer went to sleep. Another idea is make your, I'll go with this one first. Don't be afraid to quit a book. I've always thought, well, I'm in the middle of this book, I can't start a new book because I got to get through this one, even though I'm not like actively getting through it. And maybe I'm just having trouble admitting to myself that, well, this book isn't for me. I'm not enjoying it. I should just stop. It takes me a while to admit that. I'm so dedicated. I'm always dedicated to things. That's why I quit things for a month. I commit. I try to commit. Like if I don't commit to this, what can I commit to? Who cares? Just quit. You're not into this book? Quit it. Move on to another one. You can come back to it later if you feel like it. Move on. Also read multiple books at a time. I do read multiple books at a time, and I'm fine with that. Yeah, the Aaron Carroll book's on the toilet. This one's right here. I have several in a Kindle that I'm sort of in the middle of. which some of them I've, at this point, essentially quit. But that's fine. Why not? Like, if you're not drawn into it, move on. So it's sitting there unfinished. Come back. Maybe you'll get drawn into it later. If you're not, that probably means you should quit. Another thing, make your bookshelf a living thing. We have this tendency to put books on a shelf for several reasons. Just for decoration, to display books you have read, for keepsakes. I'm not a very sentimental person. I often don't buy books. I buy Kindles, although I'm discovering that I actually like reading physical books more. And so why not, when you're done with them, get rid of them. Have several on your shelf that you're going to read, and when you're done, move them off, move them away, put new ones there. Don't just have them collect dust, because then they're just going to be there to remind you of what you're not reading, and you're going to feel guilty, and you're going to be like, I got to read that. I'm going to read that first before I get to this one that I really want to read, which then that'll keep you from reading anything. Just grab what you want and read it. And then another idea is have easy breezy books. There's some bigger, heavier books that it might be harder to get into, but have some easy ones around too, in concurrently. Curate the type of book you're gonna read. My chair is squeak. I gotta oil this chair or something. Don't feel like it has. If you get into a heavy book, a challenging book, you have to stick with that one. Have an easy one. If you're waiting in line at the movie theater and you want to read while walking or something, and there's a lot of distraction around you, maybe the heavy book is not the right moment for that. Have a lighter book on hand. So those are some book reading tips I came across. Okay, we're gonna finish this Rubik's Cube now. Let's see how we do that. I looked up just for fun. I just looked up the world record, to see. I'm not gonna try, but let's just see how close I am. The best I've done is 2.5 minutes. The world record is 3.75 seconds. That's ridiculous. They're obviously doing other things. I'm doing a method that's sort of I think it's probably a beginner method to solving a Rubik's Cube. Now I lost my train of thought here. What was I supposed to do? Okay, whoop, whoop. Is that right? And so yeah, I'm definitely not going to, I did that thing wrong while I was talking. I'm definitely not going to do a world record, but I will slowly get better as I do it. So now I got the two bottom, oh, no, I don't have the two bottom rows solved yet. Okay, oops, we'll get it. We'll get there. So basically, when you're on the second row, well, I didn't even explain the first row, so I can't explain the second row right now either. I think part of the challenge of doing it fast is also just literally the dexterity of it, because you can get it all caught up, and maybe the quality of the cube itself. Okay, we're getting there. Do 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 do. But I might get distracted as I do this and talk. Anyway, those are the videos I have coming up. There's another. There's a few other videos in the back burner that I've actually shot some footage for or plan that are specifically planned. But I'm waiting for more time to do them because I'm doing 4 a month right now, but I want to wait till I'm down to 2 a month. I'm doing Why Do People Like Alcohol, which will be, this is pretty challenging talking while doing this. I'm probably going to screw it up and have to start over. Shoot. Almost lost my train of thought there. Why Do People Like Alcohol, which I've interviewed how number 2 drink Greg, oh shoot, what's his last name? Greg something. And he does a YouTube channel. Oh shoot. I think I screwed it up. Yep. I screwed it up. Anyway, here's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna cut it for the podcast, and then at the end of this, I'm going to just straight up solve this at the end of this video, but it won't be in the podcast without talking. Anyway, Greg something, I interviewed him about alcohol. I interviewed my neighbor Sam because he makes beer and he showed me how to make beer. And I interviewed Aaron Carroll about alcohol. I want to address every issue about alcohol. I don't want it to be, it's going to be tricky to find the balance of humor like I usually do, but also the seriousness of alcohol, and talk about legitimately why it's good. I think my goal here is to be honest about alcohol and about why people like it, rather than going to an extreme that people tend to do. It's either this is awesome alcohol, my favorite beers, my favorite drinks, like going into like the obsession about it, and then also alcohol is horrible and bad for you, the extreme other end. I think that's a very good point. Alcohol is very bad for you. It could be, a lot of people like to say, which is true, that it is the most widely used drug and the cause of way more problems than any other drug. So yeah, but the goal of the video is to kind of be honest about why people like it, despite all of that, and just kind of learn. And Dr. Aaron Carroll is his book Bad Food Bible is sort of a good example of what this of sort of the trajectory of the video, which is like talking about how you can enjoy things that are traditionally considered bad for you. It's just you have to be careful, obviously. And also, like in his book, he talks about alcohol, and alcohol probably talks about as one of the least healthy things for you, not healthy. One of the things that are actually bad for you. But a lot of the other things in the book are about, even though he drinks scotch occasionally, but a lot of the other things in the book are about like how things that we traditionally think as bad for us probably aren't, or not as bad, and we shouldn't worry if we indulge a little sometimes. So yeah, and I know everyone has different relationship with alcohol, and so it's going to be tricky, but I'm going to attempt it anyway. It's not going to be a pro alcohol. It's not like you should drink. This is why alcohol is awesome. It's just going to be an honest look at it. Another one I'm doing is water, drinking the right amount of water every day. Just like paying attention to how much I'm drinking, setting an amount and doing that every day to see what happens as a challenge. And what's another one I'm going to do? There's another one. Oh, why do people like nuclear power? I've been sitting on an interview with that one for a while. I just have been waiting for a time to have more time to do it. And now that I'm committing myself to more reading, maybe I will read more about it. Because I did an interview with a professor at the UW-Madison, and then I started making the video, and I was like, I think I need more time with this because I don't feel like I have a solid grasp or enough information about it. So I want to read some more, maybe find some more interviews. Maybe interview people who are anti-nuclear power, because he's definitely not. I always feel like I should get more balance with these videos. I always feel like there could be more opportunity for more balance, but that takes a lot more time. And that goes back to books versus the internet. Like the internet's much more immediate, and it's much more the media in general. That's how it works. You have to have regular output to be to survive. Sometimes you don't have to have that quick of output. Like filmmakers come out with a movie sometimes every 3, 4, 5 years. But if you want to be a company, like a media company, you have to put things out very regularly. And if you want to be a YouTuber, you have to put things out pretty often. Some people don't. That's not going to work for everybody. I would like to, ideally, get to a point where I can spend a lot of time on one thing and just put out something really solid and amazing, but not put things out that often. I'd like to do that. On the other hand, maybe I wouldn't like to do that. I don't know, because I'd get too worried about the one project I'm working on. I've talked about this before. I think that's kind of where things are going right now. I feel like reducing this so that I can do bigger things. Regardless, those are some videos I have coming up. I'll probably do another fitness video, a revisit about working out. That's not just a casual thing like this channel, but like more in depth about the workouts. And is there another challenge thing I've got coming up? Those are really the big ones right now. Dancing, China and me dancing, learning a dance. That was going to happen sooner, but we realized we need more time, so we kind of put that on the back burner. But there you go. How are you? Okay, end of podcast. Now I'm going to solve a Rubik's Cube. Here goes. It was already kind of started, so it's going to take less time than it would have, unless I screw it up again. Do 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 do, ba do be do 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 do, ba do be do be do ba do be do be do ba do be do 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 do. Ba-do-be-doop doop 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 doo. Ba-do-be-doop doop 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 doo. Ba-do-be-doo-be-de-doop ba-do-be-doo-be-de-doop ba-do-be-doop doop 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 doo. Nope, I screwed it up again. Darn it. What am I doing? I've been able to solve it without screwing up for so many times, and now the camera's rolling. Pressure is on. Screwed it up, but I salvaged it, sort of. Okay, boop, 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 boop. Try this again. Yeah. There we go. All yellow on the top. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. Getting there, getting there. Okay. I think I screwed it up again. Okay, saved it, sort of. Guys, this is the worst I've done. All right, we're getting there though. Boom. Did it. Did it. Yeah. I've done better, for sure. Thank you for watching. See you next Monday. I do these kind of videos every single weekday on Patreon. I saw someone on the subreddit asking what kind of videos to expect on Patreon. These kind, but kind of shorter. Or a lot shorter. And that's about it. See ya.